Good morning to all the participants. Welcome to our Infoday. Today is the second round of our road trip that we have started in Ancona last Friday for the purposes of supporting the potential beneficiaries in preparation of their applications to be presented in the scope of the first call for proposals 21-27 programming period. So today we are hosted by Apulia region here in this wonderful place of Fiera del Levante. And today's meeting is also being recorded, so everybody will be able to find it also online and to recheck it out. Let's not waste any more time because we have plenty of things to present to you. And I would like to thank to Apulia region for hosting us today in these wonderful premises. And right away, I would like to give the word to Mrs. Gianalisa Berningerio, which is the Director of the Department of Economic Development of Apulia region. Thank you.
Thank you, Perizza. I'd like to welcome you to Bari in a very special day because today is St. Nicholas Day. And as you know, it's the saint from Bari. So we're very happy to have you all here today, which is a special day. I'd like to thank you for organizing this Info Day in Bari today because we think that Puglia must play an important role in this programmation period in 2001-2007, 2021-27 programmation period, also for the Interreg program Italy-Croatia. In our Regional Ministry for Economic Development, we have appointed a special unit for the territorial cooperation, which is led by my colleague Giuseppe Rubino, which I thank very much, and I thank all the team for organizing not only this day, this Info Day, but also for the passion that they put in working for the Interreg programs in general. And I also have to say that I know you've been in Lecce a few weeks ago, and that even there, your presence was a big success, because Lecce, together with Brindisi, are places where the value of the territorial cooperation is very much endured, felt. And that is why we are very happy that those two cities are in the program again for this new programmation period. And I have to say that we would like to enhance our presence, the presence of the institution from Puglia, but as well as the private and public stakeholders in general in the next months and years. Also because if you compare data, basically we are 4 million inhabitants in Puglia, which is 1/3 of the total amount of inhabitants of the program as a whole. And that means that it is important not only to exploit all the opportunities that this program will give us together with our brothers on the other side of the Adriatic and with the other region in Italy, but also because the access of this Interreg program match perfectly with the with the policies in general that the regional government is trying to make in the region. We really want a greener Puglia, a bluer Puglia, a smarter Puglia, and that is why we are targeting those objectives with all the means that we have, all the instruments. And the Italy-Croatia program is one of those. And we feel it as really coherent with the mix of the policies we are trying to address, together as well with the PNRR, so the Recovery Fund for Italy. And we really think that the next year can make the difference in our, not only in our economic development policy, but also in the social sustainability of the transition we are facing. So we would like to bring the results of the activities we're going to do in this program to the every single Puglia citizen, not only to the institution. We want to see the result of our action, not only to make expenses. It's important. The quantity is important, but also the quality. So I wish you a very good work today, very fruitful morning, and I'm looking forward the next occasion to meet. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Davingelio. We are very happy, and we thank you so much again for your kind words and for your commitment to the program, and very interesting to see also maybe in upcoming months about mainstreaming programs of the Puglia region and so on and so forth. But we will have the opportunity to speak about the upcomings. Now I would like to give a floor to the representative of Croatian delegation and responsible person for the monitoring. Hello, Perica, are you with us? Can you hear us? Mr. Perica Gabric, welcome.
Do you hear me?
Yes, we can, loud and clear. Thank you so much for being with us, and I give you the floor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tel. Buongiorno, dobro jutro, good morning, everyone. Dear ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to greet you all on behalf of the Ministry of Regional Development and EU funds of the Republic of Croatia. First, I would like to thank the Managing Authority, the Joint Secretariat, and today's host, Puglia region, for organizing this Info Day. Italy-Croatia Interreg program is the largest cross-border program in which Croatia participates, and it is of great importance to us. Cross-border cooperation is a key tool for effectively addressing common challenges. By combining the resources, exchanging knowledge and good practices, the cross-border cooperation projects improve people's daily lives across Italy and Croatia. Italy and Croatia recognize the importance of cooperating in environmental protection, preserving the biodiversity of the Adriatic Sea, better cross-border mobility, climate change adaptation, green and blue innovation, valorization of cultural heritage, and reduction of cross-border obstacles. I would like to use this opportunity to thank all the representatives of the Monitoring Committee, together with Managing Authority and Joint Secretariat, whose hard and efficient work in the last few months enabled development and also the launch of this call. The first call for project proposals has a significant allocation of 80 million euros, and as such, it provides great opportunities for further cross-border cooperation. We are confident that the program will receive a large number of high-quality project proposals, out of which the very best projects will be contracted and successfully implemented. Dear guests, I wish you luck and a lot of success, firstly in the application process, and secondly, in the implementation of the projects. Have a pleasant and fruitful day. Thank you and kind regards from Zagreb.
Thank you, Perica. Bari sends you applause, very big applause, and thank you for your intervention. We are moving now on. The fact that we are here today, of course, is thanks to the constant commitment of the managing authority of the program that is supported by the JS in its work. And the works, you know, started already last year for the preparation of the 21-27 programming period by the means of consultations. Then finally, our program was approved this year on 10th of August. And also, thanks to the work that has been done, we are very glad and that the monitoring committee and national delegations have recognized the work of the MA and have confirmed also Veneto region for this 21-27 period. So I give the floor to the colleague, Mr. Salvatore Lopreato, who is the representative of the managing authority of Veneto region and thus the program representative. Thank you.
Thank you, Thea. Thank you. Can you hear me? Yes. First of all, I would like to thank all of you for participation. You are very numerous, and in Apulia region for the organization. We are here, as anticipated, to share information about the first call of proposal, and we have only 3 hours, maybe, and so the agenda is very strong and challenging. And also for this reason, my slot is really short, and I would like to spend it just to tell you something about what happened before today. So, as anticipated by Thea, the programming process, okay. Because the process, it was long and really complex. In fact, we started in the last 2020 year, and we complete the last version of the IP, the program proposal, and the submission to the European Commission, and at the end, the approval of the program just in August. So we needed 1.5 years almost, and the process was really complex because we have to involve and to collaborate with many actors and in different typology. So we have to involve national authorities, regional authorities, environmental authorities, stakeholders, common stakeholders, experts, evaluators, and so this is a complex process because of this, first of all. And we, during these 2 years, we had 12 meetings of the task force. The task force is the decision maker of this process and involved national authorities, regional authorities, and the commission like observer. And so day by day we have to go on with the drafting of the program and organize meetings, prepare documents, and so it was long also for this reason. Just a couple of slides to fix the main steps of the process. As already said, the task force was set up in the end of the 2020 year. Then we have the territorial analysis provided by an external independent evaluator. And in this document, we can reach main needs and main challenges of in the cooperation area. And it was useful to start a discussion in order to select the teams and the specific objectives to fix the vision of the program and start the program strategy. Then we have 2 or 3 opportunities to make consultation of the stakeholders, public consultation. So a list of exemplary actions has been agreed. So we have to conclude the architecture of the program, setting the indirect indicators set, output and result indicators, methodology to calculate the target and the value, and the baseline, and also we have to have a complete strategic environment assessment that was concluded in January. And then we have we finalized the first proposal of the program in March and we submitted it to the European Commission. Then we have observation on the proposal, and we spend a couple of months to clarifying everything and to revise the version and create a new final version of the program that was approved in August. Then there was the organization, the setup of the monitoring committee, the decision maker about the implementation of the program. And then we, in the second meeting of the monitoring committee, we can approve the first call, and then we are here. Just 2 words finally to tell you about one important decision that we assumed during the process. It regards the monitoring system, because as you know, we are in the current programming period, we are using a local system, CU, and we have to decide if confirm it or to move to another system. And so we have to make a comparative analysis, and we are sure that the local system is really well integrated with the other internal system, IT system, like protocol or accountability system. So this is a positive point for CU, but we have many bad user experience during the current period, and the technology is already old. And so we decided to move to GEMS, a tool provided by Interact, and because surely it's user-friendly, is a native program, a native system, so really tailored for Interact programs, but is really basic, so it's not so easy to adapt, to customize it, and so we needed to work on an application in order to link GEMS and the data inserted in GEMS with other regional systems and national systems, because we have to dialogue with the national system. That's all from me, and thank you again, and to everybody.
Thank you so much, Salvatore, for this presentation of yours. So we are moving to GEMS as the other majority of probably of European territorial cooperations, as because we are following also that what is pointing out always the European Commission not reinventing the wheel, no, reusing the tools and instruments that are already at disposal. Okay, so that's great. Thanks a lot. And let's step actually into the call, into the practical things. I would like to call my coordinator, JS head, Mrs. Silvia Comiati, that will introduce to you and present the rules of the new call. And the other colleagues, Paolo Rotoni and Angelo Mazzon, will take after them. Thank you.
Thank you, Thea. Good morning, everybody, also from my side. I will go through a little bit the rules of the call. We'll try to focus on the main issues that are more novelties for our program. But of course, we will have a space later on for any other questions that you might have and issues that I might go a bit quickly now. As you know, the call was open on the 28th of November, so I suppose that many of you have already checked the documents and maybe you have some questions that are very specific and that we can take later on. So first of all, let's have a look at the application package. It's quite a big number of documents. We have the call announcement, which is containing the rules of the game for our first call. We have the guidance for applicants. This is the document that helps you to go through the gems and to fill out your application form, and attached to that we have the offline application form templates. These are to be used. We also provide you with a Word format of this because it's needed for you to actually write your projects in a template. Then, of course, you have to take all the contents that you put in the Word and put it in the system, because that's the only way you have, and you will hear it later on from my colleague, the only way you have to submit your proposal is through the system. We have a project selection procedure, which also has an annex dedicated to selection criteria. My colleague will go into that. It's very important for you to check how we will assess your proposals, how we will score your projects. And so it's important for you to understand what you need to valorize when you write your project. We also have other templates at your disposal. The subsidy contract, which is for information purposes, meaning that it's about what will be the commitments that the managing authority will ask to the lead partners and to the project partners of the funded projects, for you to have an idea of how the implementation of your projects will look like. And then we have a declarations template. These are to be filled in, signed, and uploaded in the system by lead partner, project partners, associated partners. We have also prepared a number of what we call useful documents, which in our opinion are references and extracts and other documents that we think could be interesting for you to have a look at, to go a little deeper into some of the topics of the thematics and the novelties of this programming period. For instance, we have prepared an extract of the strategic environmental assessment, which was carried out last year. This is important because our program really values a lot of environmental policies and has a lot of environmental concern in implementation. So it's important for us that also beneficiaries, potential beneficiaries, understand our concern, the importance we give to the environment. And for this reason, we have, you will find not only in the Interact program, which is the basic text, the text of our strategy, but also in this extract and also in the assessment manual, in the selection procedure, you will find a lot of references to environment. So have a look at that. Try to embed environmental policies, environmental concern in your proposal, because we do have a lot of criteria dealing with the environmental policies. We have prepared the program implementation manual. My colleague will go through it quickly later on. As you will see, we have made this decision to anticipate. This is an implementation document which will be needed when you start your projects. But there are a lot of information in terms of financial and communication and project management, which we think are quite important for you to know now. And for this reason, you will see that this manual is only partially available, because all the part concerning reporting, project closure, will be made available later on. It's not, it depends a lot on the system. The system is ongoing. We are implementing it day by day, but we wanted to make sure that the first part of the manual was already available at the opening of the call. Another document that we have prepared is called Program Intervention Logic. We will go through the Program Intervention Logic later on in the presentation. It's important for you to understand what we expect in terms of how to construct your projects, how your projects need to have a logic that strive to achieve the program objectives. So we want to guide you through this logic. We want to understand this logic and to make sure that the results that you envisage are the results that the program is expecting. So in this document, you will find a lot of information about the indicators, which is an important part of the intervention logic. You will find information about the topics that we are addressing, and you will see that not only in the call but also in the manual there are a lot of references to this document. We have also made available a document on user flagships. Some of you might know what the user flagships are, some others might have heard it, but this is another important novelty, or let's say an important trend of this programming period. Our program has made a commitment to contribute to these flagships. Flagships are actions, indicative activities to be funded by projects that contribute to their objectives. So for each thematic, for each specific objective of our program, we have identified some flagships which are relevant for us and which we would like to contribute to. So we expect that the projects take this on board and try to implement some of the actions that are proposed in the flagships. Another two documents, final ones, program capitalization plan. We will talk about capitalization today. Capitalization is another golden word for this programming period. We have worked a lot on that, and we have already developed our capitalization plan for 21-27. This is the program strategy in terms of capitalization, but it's important also for you to have a look at it, to understand how we want to implement capitalization, what we mean by capitalization, and how we want to actually achieve the objectives of this topic. Finally, we have developed a lead partner financial capacity tool, which is needed for private lead partners. So only those private organizations that would like to participate as lead partner, we advise you to have a look at this tool, because it's a self-assessment tool to understand whether you have the capacity to implement and to be a lead partner in our program. So quickly on the more general information, the call finances two typologies of projects, as you have seen, standard and small-scale projects. Small-scale projects are a novelty for our program. It's the first time that we find them, so it's also a test for us, and it will be interesting to develop this together. Not all the specific objectives are open for the different strand of projects. So for standard, we have 6 specific objectives out of 7. We have all the priority 1, priority 2, 3, and 4. So innovation, environment, transport, and culture and tourism. We have excluded for this first call priority 5, which is dealing with the better cooperation governance. For small-scale projects, we have 3 specific objectives involved. So we have 2.2 dealing with biodiversity and pollution, environment, 4.1 dealing with the culture and sustainable tourism, and 5.1, as I said, better cooperation governance. We will talk later on in detail about the specific objectives, but for you to know that you need to pay attention that not all the specific objectives are open for all the strands of the call. Indicators, we will talk about it later. This is a program area. As we said before, we have kept the same program area as in 1420, so without any reduction. We have 25 provinces in Italy and 80 counties in Croatia. The budget, as you have seen, it's 80 million euro. 76 million euro dedicated to standard projects in the, as I said, in the 6 specific objectives concerned, and 4 million euro for the first call of the small-scale projects. The program finances 80% of the project budget, so we cover with the RDF 80%. The remaining 20% has to be covered by beneficiaries. For Italian beneficiaries, both private and public, this 20% is covered by Italian Rotation Fund, Fondo di Rotazione. Project durations, we go from standard project 24 to 30 months and the small-scale project 12 to 18 months with a, let's say, deadline that we have included in the call that small-scale projects have to end at the end of 2024. In terms of budget size, as you can see, we have different thresholds. We have for priority 1 standard projects 1.1 and 1.2 specific objectives. We have a maximum budget of 1.5 million euro, whereas for all the other specific objectives for standard projects we have 2.2 million euro as a threshold. We're talking about ERDF, so you have to consider this is the 80% of your budget. You have to add up the 20% of co-financing. For the small-scale projects we have the same threshold for all the specific objectives concerned. We go from a minimum of 165,000 euro ERDF to a maximum of 200,000 ERDF. Eligibility of applicants. We have 3 main rules, basic rules for eligibility. The first one is that the applicants, whether they are lead partner or project partners, have to be established under the national law of Italy or Croatia. The second is that they have to have an official seat or seat of operation in the program area. And this is a novelty because in the past we only had applicants with official seat in the program area. So we have opened quite a lot in this sense in this first call 21-27. And the third, this is specifically important for third sector, I would say, the applicants need to be endowed with legal personality. In terms of typologies of organizations, for the standard we have 3 main typologies: public, private and international organizations. Basically it's very broad, the typologies of entities that can participate, so we have all possible public entities and body governed by public law. We have all possible private, profit or no profit. And we have international organizations, even here, very broad category, because they can be established under the national law of any EU member state. Of course, they have to have the official seat or the seat of operation in the program area. Or they can be international organizations under international law with some specificities. For the small-scale projects, we have introduced some restrictions. I want to just clarify why we did this, because I think it's important to understand. Small-scale projects, as you have seen, have a smaller budget, have a smaller scope, and smaller partnerships, you will see in a little while. And we want them really to be implemented by small organizations, because we think this is a very important aspect in this regard. So we have introduced a limit in terms of inhabitants for local authorities, up to 50,000 inhabitants. And the same limit applies to body government by public law. They need to be financed by this organization up to 50,000 inhabitants, and so on. We have opened to any typology of school and educational institution, because we really think that small-scale projects can be a boost, can be an important instrument for education. And so for this reason, we have included this organization, but we have excluded universities. For private bodies, any non-profit organization can be involved, whereas for enterprises, we only accept micro and small-sized enterprises. Same as for public, we have the possibility for participation to private schools and educational institutions, with the exclusion of universities. We have assimilated partners as well. These are some very specific, typology of partners that we have in our program area, as we have Zagreb and Rome, the capital cities that are outside of the program area. We have a lot of organizations mainly based in these capital cities that actually are competent in the program area but are located outside of it. So for this reason, we have introduced, we have kept actually from 1420 this specific category of project partners that can be involved just like any other partner. Okay, regarding the lead partner, any eligible organization can act as lead partner. For private lead partner, as I said before, they have to have the financial capacity. So please, if you're a private lead partner, do test yourself, your organization, with the self-assessment tool. We have some restrictions, meaning that lead partners, each organization can be lead partners in up to 2 project proposals, and we count these separately for standard and small-scale projects. Then, in terms of partnership requirements, we have for standard projects at least 3 project partners, with at least 1 Italian and 1 Croatian, of course, and a maximum of 8 project partners, including a lead applicant. For small-scale projects, we have at least 2 project partners with a maximum of 4. The last typology of partners I want to tell you about are the associated partners. These are a category that we have kept from the strategic projects of 1420, but we have really changed the scope of these partners within the project. In fact, we have envisaged that these partners will be involved in the projects with a very specific role in capitalization. In order to do that, what we envisage is that these partners can really work with the partnership on basically 2 things. One thing is to make sure that the outputs that are produced can be reused by other organizations, so to help the partnership to develop these outputs in a good way, in a way that is useful also for other organizations. And the other possible role is that they can be the reusers of these outputs, so they can test and they can reuse these outputs during implementation or even after. Okay, I will not go into the assessment procedure, as my colleague will tell you more about this. The only thing I want to tell you is that for this call, we have envisaged to have a ranking list per specific objective. And this is important because you have already seen that we have a budget per specific objective, and we will have also the scoring of the projects at the end per specific objective. This is a timeline of the call and of the assessment and the start of the projects, and that's my last slide. As I said before, the call opened on the 28th of November. For small-scale project, the submission deadline is the 28th of February, so it's 3 months period to prepare the small-scale projects. For the standard, we have envisaged the submission deadline on the 20th of March. And of course, once the calls are closed, we start with the assessment. Our commitment is that we will finalize the assessment, and the monitoring committee will make the funding decision on the small-scale project at the end of the spring. So we envisage to start the project to start in July 2023. For the standard projects, we envisage the starting date in beginning of 2024. So this is a bit the timing, and my colleague will tell you more about the assessment, and you can understand a bit better how it works.
Thank you, Silvia. Very clear, and we are super in time. Okay, so we are going to see now what the program is going to finance and what is expected actually from the projects in terms of contributing to the program output indicators and the result indicators. So my colleague Paolo Rotoni will explain you a little bit more about that. Please, Paolo, the floor is yours.
Okay, good morning to everybody. Before to start, I would like to make a test. How many people have never participated to Italy-Croatia program for the first time? This is the first time. Can you raise there? 1, 2, 3. Okay. No. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. No. So that means that probably we are a great community as a territorial cooperation, the people who work on territorial cooperation, so we work together, probably we are a community of practice. On the other hand, probably we are not so attractive to the newcomers because, but in any case, I will give you now a quick read of the priorities. Just to show, because probably you are probably you know the previous programming period of the program, so more or less is the same structure of the priorities. So we can have a quick read, and we underline only some keywords just to give some explanation to the specific priority. As Silvia explained before, we have 5 priorities. From 1 to 4 is typical of the programming period as the previous programming period. So sustainable growth, green and resilient shared environment, sustainable maritime and multimodal transport. And the priority 4, a lot of time, very interesting for the Apulia region, culture and tourism for sustainable development. So we have the related specific objective that we can see. In addition, for everybody, I would like to remind that when we work in the territorial cooperation, we are working on cohesion policies. Please remind, because it's important for you, because you have to remind that the cohesion policy is one of the, probably the biggest investment policy of the European Commission. And when you work on cohesion policy, you have to work to the growth and to the business competitiveness of the territories. So you have to work on policies related to the territories. And this is the specific objective, of course. Okay. We can start for the priority 1. This is developing and enhancing research and innovation capacity and the uptake of the advanced technologies. So you can see here in the slides that our main issues as a program is to work on blue economy, of course. Clearly, we want to face the main problems, that is weakness in the level of cooperation between public and privates. and also the low number of financial human resources dedicated to research and innovation. In general, we have a lacking of sufficient technology transfer process. So here you can see also some important keywords that for me you have to remain, okay, this is the word blue, the expression blue economy is quite important for our program. So please consider the sector, but the sector, the blue economy, you have to consider more a concept than an industrial sector. You can have different industrial sector within the concept of blue economy. So don't think only to, for instance, fishery or tourism. Don't replicate other measures for the other priorities. So, and our expected results for this specific objective are improved performance related to applied research and technology transfers. So we can think about market-driven research and cooperation, digital technology and new services for the smallest medium enterprise, and also synergy with the European Innovation Plus. It's quite interesting that you can see here the terms of digital. Also, please remind that you have to think about how the territories can absorb the digital process. So, so in addition, also it's important, quite different, it's stress here in this, the synergy with the European innovation players. That it's quite important that you, within your project, you show to the program that you want to work or you want to search the best innovation players in Europe in a specific sector, of course. And here you can see the output and the results indicator that probably we explained afterwards. So more or less is the similar of the previous programming period and the indicator related to the number of the enterprise who participate in your project. So this is the other specific objective. It's quite different from the previous programming period. It's developing skills for smart specialization, industrial transition, and entrepreneurship. Clear here, you can see also immediately the word skills is fundamental if you want to work in this specific objective. And another point is important, smart specialization. Please consider that smart specialization is not only smart plus specialization, but smart specialization are ex-ante conditionality of the equation point. So it's very important that is a strategy that each region in Italy has. So please refer to this effort that each region and also in Croatia, the national level made to define their own priority on innovation. So here clearly we want to work on skill specialization because we want to face the lack of technology cooperation and the low level of specific skill in blue economy sector. So here you can see the expected results for this specific objective, strengthen innovation capacity, especially in blue economy domains, and increase internationalization capacity for small and medium enterprise, especially in blue economy. So the same structure of the result and outcome indicator related to the more or less the participation of the organization and the enterprise. So this is so to close the priority one, remember blue economy sector and skills for the specific objective 1.2. Remember to work to consider the digital transitions very important, but not as only a research area or only to define a specific activity related to research. And related to the priority 2, promoting climate change, adaptation, disaster risk prevention, resilience, taking into account ecosystem-based approach. This priority is quite similar to the previous programming period. It's very important for our program in terms of budget, in terms of our expectations. So we want to face the problem related to the lacking sufficient climate change knowledge base for monitoring and low joint coordination of the risk assessment. Clearly, we are working on territorial cooperation. So it's very difficult for us as a program to work on big infrastructure, clearly, but we can work. It's very important to work on monitoring and to the assessment process, prevention, etc. So please bear in mind to work on the process and the exchange of information and best practice among the actors of the area. So sharing methodology, increase effectiveness of joint monitoring system. So the terms monitoring, you can see a lot of time. Improve awareness about climate change effects and natural and cultural heritage. Improve efficacy of risk preventions, improve management of emergency linked to extreme meteorological phenomena. It's needless to say that it's quite important, these expected results. Early warning system, emerging in plants, so the output indicator is more related here, not of course on the participant on the enterprise and the priority one, but the number of joint strategy and action plans. So it's very important the effort that you can put in the project to work together to the other actor of the creation on the creation side. So. The specific objective 2.2 is related to the nature and biodiversity and green infrastructures, including urban area and reducing all form of pollution. So protection and preservation of nature and biodiversity is related to, in this specific objective, we want to work based on the strength point of this area. For instance, a lot of national parks, a lot of Natura 2000 sites and UNESCO sites, but we want to work to face the problem related to the risk, for instance, of the marine habits, and especially because of the overfishing, lacking sufficient knowledge base and monitoring system, and also lower awareness and environmental pollution, protection of biodiversity. Clearly, you should work here. You should consider this area as functional natural areas, because you can apply this specific objective in different territory in the fragile territories. So we expect to increase the efficiency of monitoring research of natural marine habits, so increase awareness in relation to the environmental pollution and the reduction of pollution in critical areas. Clearly, you should work here in this specific objective on improving monitoring system, increase awareness raising, work on technology solution, of course. And here the indicator is clearly related to all the efforts, all the product that work to action plan, strategy, etc. So that you are able to define together among the partnership. So the priority 3 is the developing and enhancing sustainable, climate, resilient, intelligent, intermodal, national, regional, and local mobility, including improve access to TEN-T corridors, so and cross-border mobility. Okay, this area is affected of problem mobility. Of course, if you think about Italy-Croatia, it's not easy to move for goods and people. So here it's very important to work on to face the problem related to the mobility, to the the connection, and to clearly you have to work on the nodes here. It's very important to understand the concept of intermodal. Needed to say that you are not able to work on infrastructure in this in this specific objective, no? But it's very important to work on the nodes of the intermodal connection. This is the expected results, that is integrated and sustainable transport connection, and increase the efficiency and the quality of maritime transport. You can work on the ICT, on the, on the circular economy, on port sustainability, interconnected ports. Clearly, it's very important probably to work with the ports as an hub. You have to consider the port, the port authority, also the marine, the small marines. So, to marinas, no marine, as an hub of the local territories. So here also the results you can see: joint strategy and action plan and common solution that you are able to define. The priority 4, culture and tourism for sustainable development. So is the specific objective is enhancing the role of culture and sustainable tourism in economic development, social inclusion and social innovation. Here, the big difference respect to the previous programming period, that here we stress the importance of social inclusion and social innovation together with within the priority of culture and tourism. So you have to be very you have to consider that if you want to work on priority 4, you have to consider the domains of social and the social innovation. So for instance, so we want to work on to reduce the problem related to the low skills and unstable jobs in the tourism industry, and also you can see here we have a lack of promotion strategy. Okay, the problems promotion strategy, the lack of use of digital tools. So here, if you see the slide related to the expected results, probably, okay, we want to work on territories to the specific smart tourist destination. So here you have to put together the element of the social innovation and, of course, the cross-cutting themes of the terms of the digital the digital approach that you have to have inside each project. So this is clearly the expected results. Of course, you have to work on increase the number of qualified human resources in the tourism sectors. Of course, this is the results indicator that probably you can see afterward. Now I can give the floor to Silvia to the priority 5.
Thank you, Paolo. Okay, for priority 5, I told you before that this is a bit of definitely a novelty for us. It's a new specific objective for Interreg. It's called ISO 1 and dealing with the better cooperation governance. Here we have basically developed our strategy for this specific objective under 2 main pillars. On the one hand, we would like to enhance cooperation among institutions. Can be many different organizations from sectors, different governance levels that we would like to cooperate and define together actions and processes and ways to work together. The second aspect is linked to a concept which is quite, let's say, important and quite developed and diffused in Interreg, which is called cross-border obstacles. These are the difficulties or the aspects that actually hamper cooperation, which create indeed problems to cooperation. So the idea when we talk about cross-border obstacles is to work at the legal or administrative level to actually diminish, alleviate, or even eliminate these obstacles to cooperation. So from the analysis that we did, we have already identified some of the possible domains where these obstacles are actually present. For instance, risk management, fisheries, aquaculture, maritime special planning. These are some of the domains, not an exhaustive list, but these are definitely those that we have identified. And our aim is actually to investigate these cross-border obstacles in this first call. And this is why also we have decided to address specific objective 5.1 only through small-scale projects. So the idea is that through the small-scale projects, so small cooperation action, as I said before, with the smaller duration, with a very clear scope, we would like to investigate to see which are these obstacles, to find out where these obstacles are and who could be the organization that could actually work to diminish these obstacles. In the second call, we will finance standard projects to address this obstacle and to possibly solve them. So it's a, let's say, two-step somehow process that we have envisaged, and it's important that you understand this because it's you have to embark in this specific objective 5.1 with the idea to develop an action and to achieve the results through at least two projects. The first one to investigate, the second one, standard project, to actually work on the obstacles. Regarding the second pillar, as I said, of 5.1, we want to work on the capacities of institutions, we want to work on cooperation, we want to involve newcomers, to involve new organizations, students, schools, young people. All these categories should be definitely involved in 5.1. Okay, the indicators are quite different from all the other indicators that Paolo just presented. We have very specific, very dedicated indicators dealing with legal agreements or administrative agreements. We have solutions developed for legal and administrative obstacles. So as you can see, these are quite dedicated to this 5.1. Okay, a couple of words on the indicators. You will find in our documents, in the program intervention logic, as I said before, you will find also some specific sheets for each indicators that we have selected. This is because the Commission for this programming period decided to develop an homogeneous approach to indicators. So we as a program want you to understand, to fully understand what we expect on each indicator, how to calculate, and so how to plan also the indicators from the beginning. So we will not go into the details unless you have specific questions later on, but please have a look at the document. Also in these slides, you will find more information on the indicators, and we are at disposal also during the opening of the call to respond to your questions about indicators. Just only for you to know that standard projects need to address and need to achieve and to contribute to at least 2 output indicators that you can select among all the indicators, whereas for small-scale projects, there are some mandatory indicators that you can see in the slides. These are, in some cases, you have you can choose among two, because small scale have to contribute to at least one indicator, so you can choose. For 4.1, there is only one indicator, so you have to go for it, and there's no choice. But of course, there are other indicators within the specific objective that you can also address in your project. So it's, let's say, optional, additional indicators. Okay, we conclude with a few more information on the intervention logic.
Yes, just a few words about the measure. Okay, of course you can consider the output and the results indicator when you will draft your project proposal, and the project intervention logic must reflect the program intervention logic. Please, also when you choose the specific objective and you will draft the project, remember that you are supporting the program to reach the objective of the program. So your project is very important for us to reach our goals. So clearly you have to insert your idea within the structure of the intervention logic of the program. So, and the project intervention logic, so when you draft the project, you comply with one of the, of course, of the five priority and selected by the program, pursue one of the specific objective, and follow in general a result-oriented approach. So, be built on current territorial challenge, so try to face the problems of the territory that you involve in the project, of course. Clearly define the objective, plan activities up to end results and related indicator. So that means please follow always a logical framework approach. So because it's very important not to define a project as a sum of activities, because sometimes we can also in the past program we saw that the project that had a lot of problems during the implementation has been the project that we have a lackness on the project and definition of the project intervention logic and at the beginning. So clear define the objective, plan activities, output and results, and lead to an envisaged change. So please remember that always the project must be a change on the process and on the territory that you involve in the project. You have to work to implement a change. Important the course of the project intervention logic with the target specific objective of the project is a precondition for a project to be approved and funded, of course. And here also the project must contribute to the first of the two of the following four cooperation criteria, as well to the third one and the fourth one. So you have to, the two as compulsory, but probably it's better that you comply in all four criteria, so to have a good project. So 2 + 1, but of course you can choose all the criteria. So just to close the project management task, you have to I would like to remind that you have to consider the project steering is compulsory, of course, these points. One steering committee, this is for the newcomers that come for the first time. It's compulsory to have a steering committee, to have a project management unit with these three profiles: project manager, financial manager, communication manager, to think about, to include an evaluation plan, to risk management plan, and of course we expect that you have, of course, a kickoff meeting at the beginning, okay? And it's very important that probably my colleague Theo will talk afterward, that here we don't have here a dedicated work package for the management, for the communication. So you have to include communication management activities must be integrated within the
work package. So you have to connect the specific communication management activity with the related VP, technical VP. No, this is this is it. We have to, non mi ricordo se devi...
Yeah, I think we can close with this. It's the last thing that Paolo said are very important for you to know that there is a change also in the way, and my colleagues will also talk about it, the way you have to think about your projects in terms of work plan. Just quickly about the capitalization, as I said before, this is a very important topic and very important aspect in the new programming period. This is even in our vision of our program. We want to work on it. We are very committed. When we talk about capitalization, there's a lot of things that you can do. There's a lot of different ways that you can approach capitalization. We would like you to think about capitalization not only in terms of where your project starts from, so to make sure that you start from what has already been achieved in the program area, but also where your results will go after your project. So to make sure that not all the outputs that you produce, but at least some of them, the main ones, those that are more prone to reuse, are actually good to be reused. So that's something that we want to work with you on. We want to support you, want to support all our projects in doing so, because we think it's very important that the area can really benefit from these results. And the other thing we wanted to just highlight is that another leitmotif of this programming period is, you have probably heard, the topic of synergies and complementarities with other programs, with other projects, with USAIR, as I said before. And we are also providing you information about where you could liaise in terms of thematics, in terms of processes, in terms of areas that overlap, and interventions that can actually make the most out of cooperations and synergies in the area. So take a look also at this topic. You will find it in our documents, and as I said, we can also discuss this later on in the questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Silvia. So we will have the moment for reserved for your questions at the end of this Info Day. That said, let's see how we are going to select your projects. So, and what is a good project for the program? So my colleague, Mr. Angelo Mazon, will tell you something more in his presentation. Please, Angelo.
Okay, thank you, Thea. Once you submit your project, the program will go through the selection of your proposal. Basically, the step of the selection process consists in two main pillars. The first one is the administrative compliance and eligibility check. This time we put together two different phases that was separated in the past, and the quality assessment. Only for the project who passed the quality assessment, the compliance with the state aid rules will take place. Well, you will find all the essential document for you in the application package, project selection procedure, and in annex in which you can find all the specific sub-criteria and the weight that we put for each sub-criteria. The bodies in charge are, of course, the Joint Secretariat, but also national authority will be involved in two cases, in the competence assessment of competence of assimilated partner and in infringement. And of course, the so-called dominus of the decision on selection criteria is the monitoring committee, which are the main element which distinguish the administrative compliance and eligibility check and the quality assessment. when we talk about admissibility and eligibility, we are in front of criteria which feature is that they are knockout criteria. So the assessor must give a yes or no. In the presence of a no, the project is rejected unless the failure of a criteria can lead simply to the rejection of the project partner, because all the other criteria of the partnership are respected. Instead, in quality assessment, we are talking about a point to assess, point to award, and this can lead to a score and can lead to a ranking list. Of course, the aim of admissibility and quality assessment are very different, because in admissibility, we must verify only the compliance with the requirement set in the call. Instead, the core business of the assessment is made of the evaluation of the quality admitted. What do we have to assess your project? In admissibility, we assess all you put in the application form and in the annexes. And if there are inconsistencies between the information in both document, what is written in the GEM prevail. And for the quality, it is, of course, the application form. Then, if you pass the admissibility, compliance, and eligibility check, you are eligible to be assessed from a quality point of view. And if you pass the quality assessment, then, as I said, the compliance with state aid rule take place. Now, the criteria used for administrative compliance is known, I think, for the majority of you, and are very basic. We will go in deep to the completeness of the application form. For instance, we will check if the responsible person is the right person to sign to commit the partnership, the lead partner, and the partner in general. Then there are the respect of the general core requirement in terms of slot of duration, minimum, maximum number of partners, and the total financial dimension. Part of the check are also inserted in the so-called pre-check, which is made by the GEMS before the submission. Then we will go through the eligibility of both lead partner and project partner. And then also the annexes of the application will be checked in deep. In particular, the declaration, lead partner, project partner declaration will be checked, and the consistency between the information in declaration, in annexing declaration and the application form will be checked. In this phase, we will check also the financial capacity of a private lead partner. And then we have cooperation criteria and horizontal principle. Horizontal principle, which will be checked twice, here in administrative and then in quality, because there are two important items in the assessment. Well, as I said, this time, for the first time, the private organization can lead a partnership. So it is in the very interest of the program to assess the financial capacity of the private organization. Here, we distinguish two kinds of private organization: profit-making organization and non-profit organization. We will run the assessment related to the balance sheet and the profit and loss account. And we have two criteria, and at least one of the two for the balance sheet must be respected to be considered to have a financial capacity. And also one of the two criteria taken from the profit and loss account must be respected, just one of the two. For the non-profit organization, we have two criteria: the subvention rate, which must be higher than 0.5, and the grant dependency ratios. Also, in this case, it is enough that one of the two must be respected to be inside to be considered to have a financial capacity. We put at your disposition a tool, an Excel tool for assessment. I invite you to test yourself if you are in or if you are out, considering that also we will use this tool. Then this is, in my opinion, the most important part of the assessment. The quality assessment, which will be divided into a set of criteria, strategic and operational. The key aspects are, and we put at the top the cooperation character. This is very important because the cooperation character is in this program, in this call, at the top of the priority of the assessments. So we need to read from your application form, which is the added value that the cooperation brings. So, because in the past there was a lack of common identity for the cross-border dimension, let's say, which was highlighted by the Court of Auditors, this time we want a project with real cross-border element. So we will check if it is demonstrated the importance and the necessity of cooperation. Then we must go to the conclusion that the results of your project cannot be achieved without cooperation. Take in mind that this is not a mainstream program. This is a cross-border cooperation program. I repeat for the fourth time. There is a reason for that. Then you must convince us that there are clear benefits for the partners to participate and to have benefit from the cooperation. And then, okay, strategy and so on, but it is important, my friend, to have effective cross-border activities, no mirror project. You have a very few chance to be at the top of the ranking list, without this strong element in your description. But not only cooperation character, territorial dimension, to what extent the project has customized territorial solution. This is something that a project that involve territories. So territories are important, so solution customized to territories are more than important. And you find, reading the program, the common territorial challenges and opportunities in our program, which must be addressed. Then the vision of the program was said before by Silvia, is the capitalization aspect. So we need you to start, I repeat, from the departure. Use existing knowledge, use available knowledge and build on existing resulting practice. But this is only, well, it is useful for you, as I said before, maybe to make recourse to associated partner, to give importance to the capitalization process. But the capitalization aspect is only a part of what we need from you, because we need you to go beyond the existing practices. We need to find out in your project the innovative character. It is new cross-border solution must be present. We must detect that in order to have added value. And then, of course, project must be relevant. Relevant means that is the project, is your our program, is your project in need to be funded by our program? This is the relevance. But not only the strategy, you must be included in a framework, in a planning framework, which is made by, for instance, European and national strategies. The contribution to European and national strategies must be demonstrated, and we must read this in your proposal. But as I said before, USAR is a very important aspect of our program, and so we need to read, to have input in your project with consistently contribution to specific USAR pillar, objective, and flagship. Well, I go in a hurry because I want to respect my slot time. Intervention logic, so plausibility of intervention logic is important because, as already said, if we need you to achieve the program objective, priority, target, and so on, then the feasibility of your output and the result. The result and the output need to be achieved with a given resource. Then needs of the target group are addressed. It means that no disconnection between your proposal and the need of the target group. Start with a bottom-up approach in this case. Then durability. My friend, durability is very important. We don't know project that the day after the deadline disappear. This kind of project has very, very few chance to be funded by us. So look at the durability of the output, look at the impact of the project beyond the project lifetime, and also sustainability. Sustainability is very important and is connected to durability. We need that you assure us that you have enough resource, enough element, especially for investment infrastructure and product investment, to cover the operation and the maintenance cost, or even that you find out a mechanism, protocol, procedure to cover this part. So sustainability is very important. Quality of the partnership, you know that the partnership makes the difference from a failure and a success. So please be careful when you choose the partner, because wrong partners means a nightmare for the project, a nightmare for the lead partner. Then we have some newcomer. You are welcome here, and I have a good news for you. You will be rewarded if you participate. Then optimal size of the partnership means that, in few words, that you don't need to outsource. So all the field, the thematic field of the project are covered inside the partnership. So you don't need to outsource, to have external expert and so on, because your partnership already have all the experience and the competence inside. And then environment. Okay, environment is one of the most recurrent words in our program. We will assess sustainability objectives that do not significantly harm principle. Not only, we will match your project with the result of the strategic environment assessment. This is very important. And the DNSH will be assessed during condition clearing. So environment is of utmost importance and will be and have a very important role. And then, of course, the operational part, feasibility, efficiency of the project are correlated to the failure or the success of the project in terms of management capacity to carry out the project, to lead the partnership, communication, to reach the target group, for instance, work plan, deliverable, well specified, well measurable. And then budget. Please, we hate having saving. Look very careful when you draft the budget. No over budget, no under budget. Reflect when you draft the budget to the principle of the economy, efficiency and efficacy. And then I'm running to a very new part of the scoring. Each assessor has 7 marks from 0, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. But the most important thing is that each point will be weighted. For instance, in the right part of the table, we will find that each set of criteria will have a specific weight. For instance, cooperation character weight for the 20% of the entire evaluation, and the same, more or less, is the relevance and the strategy. And it leads to the fact that the strategic part of the quality of the assessment weight for 70%. So a project which is strategically important for us weight has a lot of possibility to be funded. And then also the operation. Put in mind that there are 2 thresholds. One is for strategic, it is 42, and the other is for operational. The result, we already said all the fact. I repeat only that ranking lists are for specific objectives. That's important to take in mind. Some tips and some comment. Successful project means, first of all, you must have a good idea. Please refrain to participate if you have not good idea. The good idea must be well developed, must be interconnected, must be plain explained. No technical and so on. We all must understand what exactly you want to do. Document prepared. This is important, especially for infrastructure and so on. You must be ready. We will assess the maturity of the project, the possibility of the project to start from the day after the approval. Otherwise, the delays in infrastructure can lead you to a failure, to lose money, Remember that. Good project partnership, I already said all about that. Adequate capacity for implementation, already said. Contribution to overall broader impact, it is self-evident. Sustainability of the output in the terms I've said before, and reach the target audience. Recommendation, 3 bullet points are once again related to partners, which can become a nightmare for you. You have a silent partner, you are dead. Then read carefully all the document from the application, because it is a pity that if you don't pass the admissibility because you did not read carefully the application package. And I add, please read carefully also the Annex 1 and the sub-selection criteria, because when reading, ask to yourself, did I put all the elements in my application so that the assessor can evaluate positively my project? I'm sure that I respond to all the sub-criteria. This is essential. Then respect the condition of the first call, otherwise you don't overcome the admissibility, and it is a pity, and it is a waste of time for you and for us. And then elaborate and prepare your project documentation in detail. I've already said that it is important to have all the material, the license, the permits, and so on. And then duly fill in the application form, upload the annex to GEM, and check twice. And then respect the deadlines. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Angelo. Thank you so much. So, cooperation character, partnerships, and persons, so much important. We've seen all of these also in the 14-20 period. And that made difference among the projects and among the quality of the projects. So thank you so much, dear colleagues. Now I invite my colleagues, my other colleagues, Marcello and Marco, financial manager and legal manager, to say something more about the state aid, about the financial rules for the implementation of the projects. Then at the end of these presentations, I will also intervene on the communication, as I'm the communication manager of the program, and then we'll have a quick coffee break. Thank you. Please, Marcello.
Thank you, Thea. So project proposals must comply also with the state aid rules. In my presentation, I will point out some key elements you have to take in account when you prepare your proposal. So, first of all, to be considered state aid relevant, the project activity must fulfill all the criteria inferable from the treaty. These criteria, as clarified by the Commission with the Commission notice on the notion of the state aid, are 5 and are the following. So basically, if we have a state resources, and this criterion always occurs in our project. If the project partner acts like as an undertaking, carrying out economic activity within the project, let's say if he offers goods and services for which a market exists, and doesn't matter the legal form of the partner. If the partner receives an economic advantage, which he would not receive under normal market conditions. If the aid is selective, because it is in favor of certain enterprises, territories, and sector. And in cross-border project, this criterion almost always occurs as well. And if the aid distorts or threatens to distort the competition, and normally this criterion is considered as met when we have an undertaking and the aid is selective. So when the partner fill in his application, his part of application in GEMS, actually is asked to make a self-assessment of his activity from the state point of view, focusing on the remaining two criteria, which are if is an undertaking who offers in the market goods and services, and basically if he gain an economic advantage from the project, he would never receive in the normal course of his business. So whether he answer yes or no, it is important that he put a justification in GEMS to allow the JS to assess properly assess these points. If there is a risk of state aid relevance, he would put in GEMS the activity is considered state aid relevant, and he will choose which solution he deems most suitable for him to receive the program contribution. So actually the program implementation manual foresee two solutions, two options at this regard. One is the general block exemption regulation, which provides a specific section dedicated to the European territorial cooperation with the two articles, Article 20 and 20A. And the other one is the general de minimis regulation. With the GBR, we don't have to prove that we have an incentive effect. We don't have to check if the partner ever receives a recovery orders, and we don't have to check the status of the beneficiary. So the Article 20 is the main option, not only because it is open for all kinds of enterprises, but also because we have the same eligible cost as an interregio regulation. It's also compatible with the simplified cost option, and it is open to the fishery, aquaculture sector, and the primary agricultural production sector. We can grant all the ERDF contribution, program contribution, equal to 80%, up to 2 million per undertaking per project. But it is important to highlight that the public source cannot exceed the 80%. So basically the partners must add the 20% with their own resources. That means for Italian partners that they cannot receive the Italian national public co-finances, so the fondo di rotazione. We also have can use the Article 20A of the GBR for grant both direct aid and indirect aid. But since the threshold is very low, up to 20,000 euro per undertaking and per project, we are expected to use this article mostly for the indirect aid. Okay. So, but but partner can also deem more convenient to apply for the general de minimis regulation, because as you know, this regulation allowed to give up to 200,000 euro, but it depends, of course, on the size of the project budget. It depends on the available threshold. It can, I mean, if he have already received, maybe as part of a group, already de minimis aid, of course, the threshold available is less than 200,000 euro. So, partner has to check if this could lead to a reduction of the program contribution, both of ERDF and for Italian partner of the national co-financing contribution, so fondo di rotazione. So finally, in our project, we can have indirect aid. So when the beneficiary is outside of the partnership, it could be the case of enterprises that participate in trainings or that receive voucher scheme for consultancy services, for instance. And so we will use the Article 20A, which allow to give up to 20,000 euro per undertaking and per project. And it is important to highlight that the precise amount of this grant cannot be determined at the moment of the submission of the project, but normally shall be determined only just before the implementation of this specific activity. And that's why you will have to take contact with the JS, and the JS and the managing authority will approve your activity before the implementation of these activities that implies indirect aid, state aid. So that's all from my side, and thank you for your attention. I give the floor.
The floor goes to the financial officer of the program, Mr. Marco Popolizio. He will speak about the financial part. Thank you, Marco. Thank you, Marcello, Mr. Marcello Chizzolini. Thanks a lot for your intervention. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much there, Marcello. Good morning, everybody. So let's have a look at the main implementation rules concerning the budget. These are also useful for you to prepare your projects. We heard before about intervention logic, program indicators, and the quality of the projects we would like to finance. Quality assessment criteria, these are extremely important because we would like projects that are really addressing the needs of the territories and their target groups. They're implemented the activities according to the work plan, then they deliver the intended results, they have an impact and achieve the intended objectives. To do all of this, of course, you need resources. Once you have defined the activities, what you would like to do, where you would like to go, you will have resources to back up this process and to implement them. And coming to the budgeting point of view, guiding principles that could be taken for sure into considerations are the one of the sound financial management, as included in EU financial regulations. In particular, the principle economy and efficiency are particularly important when implementing the project, but also at the preparation phase when you are drafting it. It, in practical terms, means that you have to have sufficient resources to implement your activities and achieve the intended results, but also this should be reasonable and proportionate, distributed to the partnership on the basis of the roles of each partners. And of course, the cost should be realistic. And to do that, so please have a look at those principles for implementation. There is no advance payment for this call, and it all works at a reimbursement basis. Coming to the time-wise eligibility of expenditures, each project will have its preparation cost reimbursed through a lump sum, depending on the type of project. If it's a standard 17,000 euros per project, in case of a small scale project, 2,300 euros per project. We believe this amount should be distributed to the partners on the basis of their contribution to the project proposals. And also in GEMS, my colleague will talk about this later on, you can split this amount proportionally on, to the partners involved for it. Also, the project will have the closure cost, and this is a novelty for us in this programming period, reimbursed as a lump sum. This is not per project, but per partner. So each partner concluding the process, all this process, will have an amount of 2,000 euros per, allocated to it for the final reimbursement of the staff costs for the closure period. This is the purpose is to speed up the reporting process at the very end of the implementation period. Still, you will have the possibility to report the final implementation cost related to the implementation period within some deadlines which are set in the program implementation manual. Concerning then the implementation phase, the most important one, which is the one defined from the end, starting and ending date of the subsidy as written in the subsidy contract. Here is important to have to split the budget in working in periods on the basis of we should pose ourselves the question, when will this cost be spent, certified and reported? So on that basis should be allocated from this point of view to have a proper budgeting at the beginning. Now, there are three options that each partner can choose among, depending of the activities implemented, depending of the needs of the partner. So these options are at partner level, not at project level. And it's, once this option is chosen, it cannot be modified afterwards. So be carefully in your planning. because during implementation you cannot change anymore the chosen option. You might want to opt as a partner for option number 1, which is the one where you will have the staff costs reimbursed as a real cost. And on top of them, the other cost categories are covered by a 40% flat on what you reported as a direct staff cost. This could be particularly useful for projects with a lot of staff, staff-intensive or soft projects, and very smart from the reporting point of view, because the administrative burden is reduced thanks to the introduction of simplified cost options. Or a partner may opt for option number 2 or option number 3. In both of them, the office and administrative costs and the travel accommodation costs are reimbursed as a flat, 50% each, on the basis of what is reported for staff. Bearing in mind that for the other cost categories, equipment costs and infrastructure and works costs are only for standard projects, not for small-scale projects. The difference between option number 2 and 3 is that on option number 2, you have also the staff costs reimbursed as a flat, 20% staff or on other direct costs, meaning on external expertise and services, equipment and infrastructure where applicable. While in option number 3, you have staff reported as a real cost. Here is just an example, an indicative overview of how you can split and distribute the budget on a total budget close to the RDF available for a standard project in priority 1. So you can play a little bit with those figures, but this is just, as I mentioned, indicative, because you have to adapt it to your needs, to your activities, your work plan, and how you would like the cost to be reimbursed. Coming to the eligibility of cost categories, it's also very important that it should be budgeted properly at the beginning, because it's the way of everybody afterwards. Staff costs, there is a continuity in what can be reported from the previous programming period, so the salary payments plus any other cost directly linked to it. Provided, of course, that are related to the project, and here you can choose among the reimbursement on real or flat 20%. Once you choose one of these options, you cannot modify it afterwards, so be careful in planning. And if you choose the real cost reimbursement option, you can choose among 2 different options. We simplify the procedure, only 2, to reduce the error rate for everybody. And these are the full-time, people allocated full-time in the project, working 100% specifically for the project, or part-time with fixed percentage of time worked per month. Or if you choose the 20% flat, of course, as I mentioned, this is related to the other direct category based on. For office and administrative costs, these are reimbursed always as a flat, either 50% or as part of 40%, depending on which option you choose. And this, the list of items included is fixed, and you can find it in program implementation manual. Here, of course, is a flat, so in case the direct basis for the calculation is found to be, there are some errors, some ineligibility mistakes, the flat should be reduced and automatically decrease accordingly. Travel and accommodation costs can cover the travel, the cost of meals, accommodation, of course, visa costs, and also daily allowances or per diems. Any items listed here from A to D, which are already included in daily allowances, cannot be reported in addition to the daily allowances, of course, to avoid the double funding. And daily allowances must be in line with the national legislation or internal rules of partner organization. Here, the novelty is that you will have this cost reimbursed as a flat, not on a real cost basis anymore, flat 50% or as part of 40%. External expertise and services cost, there is an exhaustive list also for this cost. You can include studies, trainings, translations, all the services which are needed to implement your project. If you don't find a specific item, I point out the attention to other specific expertise and services needed for operations. So it leaves you it's a broad category that where you can find your expenditure for external expertise and services. Once again, here the choice is among a real cost reimbursement option or as part of a flat. And in this case, in GEMS, you will be requested to provide sufficient information for us in order to link these costs to the activities you are performing. For the equipment cost, this can cover the office and what we called previously thematic equipment, that can be IT hardware and software or particular tools and devices, vehicles, what is needed for your operation. Now, if you choose the real cost options, also in this case, you have to provide sufficient details in the application form to allow us to link the cost to the activities, and as equipment, usually depreciation and the degree of use of the equipment in a project applies. Apart from the case where you have equipment as a core component of the project, as a core component of project output, perhaps is included in the infrastructure or is part of an investment, and here you can claim the full cost. Cost for infrastructure and works, the last cost category, it's including all available means by the regulation, so also the purchase of land, building permits, building material, labor, or other specialized interventions. Here again, you please specify in the application forms the cost of infrastructure and how these are linked to your activities, unless you select for the 40% of the flat. And I think I have concluded my intervention. I give you the floor back to Thea. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marco. A little bit of sacrifice for the sake of finance, because it is really important to everybody to know how to claim the expenditures that are born for your operation or project. You know that we use the word operation, and also the Commission uses it. That stands for project. So just a couple of words for the communication. It won't take so much long, because I would just like to introduce some novelties or remind you for the novelties in the 21-27 programming period. Now, the main novelties are basically that we don't quote anymore the RDF that is financing our program and your operations. But we are just specifying that our programs and projects are financed by the European Union. So you can see also for that purpose a new brand of Interreg in general now has only the flag and the wording co-funded by the European Union. Well, this decision came in order to facilitate, in order to underline the importance from the European Commission as even more on communication for the 21-27 period, but also to bring it closer to the citizens, to the persons who really don't know what does this stand for, ERDF, ESF+, etc., etc. So it's all about European Union, and that's it. And for this, it can be easier for you to communicate with your target audience. And of course, you will have this kind of materials as well for your communication in the terms of logo. what is compulsory then? Differences between the previous programming period and this one. We are here speaking about the minimum requirements. So this doesn't mean that the communication is this, okay? This is just the minimum that the European Commission wants you to make it clearly visible, okay? So don't do just this, of course, but this is compulsory, and with your first progress report we will go down through your materials that you will send to us as supporting materials of your reporting, and we will check that you have that all your partners have put the visible poster as the partners' premises in visible place on the entrance, as it was the case in the 1420. The only novelty is that now you can add it also in a digital display. Then the other things that pretty much remain the same, that you put an article on the website, whereas it exists of your partner institution, on all of your partner institution, highlighting the contribution of the European Union. Yeah. Exactly. Billboards and plaques are always for the investments, and that is something that we also had in 1420. And of course, the use of project logo on all the materials, documents, both relating to the final deliverables in terms of reports, I don't know, studies, books, but also for the communication. So everything has to be marked with that. Okay, Interreg is our home, our brand, and we are part of the brand, of this Interreg family, and we are very happy for that. I think it became even more recognizable during these years, thanks to the harmonized element that was elaborated by Interact for all the programs, so with some specific characterizations. Okay, what does the program want from you? Pretty much the same. We want it in 1420. We would like you to enhance some of your activities. For example, in our documents, we have specified, we are suggesting to you to choose the right persons, especially as the communication manager is a part of the program management unit, which is composed of project manager, financial manager, and the communication manager. So we really advise, as also some other Interreg programs in the 21-27 did, is to choose the right person among your partnership to do this task. Because we noticed in the 1420 that sometimes the designation of the communication manager was just for the sake of doing it. And while it's really important because this person needs to coordinate all the partnership in every moment, in every 15 or 30 days, be able to know what has been done on the territories, whether it is in Croatia or in Italy, north, south of Adriatic. And this is more complicated than you might think, because the area is big, the local languages are different, so the person skilled to connect all these activities in one, because also communicating is a process different than disseminating. You start to communicate from the very first beginning of your project. When it's approved, you have to start to communicate. You don't expect to have the concrete outputs and results. Yes, it's better. For example, in the next programming period, in next years, you will be able to, for example, submit your candidature for the program for the Regio Stars Awards only if your project is finished, because now the European Commission wants this stage of project not very well advanced but finished. Not in the communication is the same. You start to communicate as soon as your project starts, and you do it from the beginning, from one day to another. What are you doing inside of your project? Oh, we are preparing a small testing. Everything of this has to be recorded, has to emerge somehow. And there is a communication manager that is a person ideal to do this. Also to take care about the project home, which is your website that will be given to you by the program, as it was the case in the 1420. So also persons skilled to know how to write on the web, to use the backend, to use the CMS system, and so on and so forth. Also able to present something in a creative, in a interactive way with the data, with the data visualization, with the infographics. For example, we have had the cases that projects elaborated very interesting scientific productions, but only scientists can understand it. So if you have among your target groups the youth, the general public, saying on your channels, we have delivered the scientific paper, is not very good way to communicate this. You have to be able to bring it forward and to explain the scientific content to the non-scientific public. So this is where the communication comes in. Okay, quickly, from the communication, from the standard projects, we will ask to prepare also the communication strategy, while from the small-scale projects, which are really small in terms of budget and also in the terms of duration, we will ask the editorial plan, but very detailed one, because we need it in order to connect with the projects on that, and we will provide you the template. What is not eligible? It's not eligible the production of any other project logo different than this that we will be sent to you, that we will put on your disposal, and the websites that are different than the website that is given to you by the program, in terms of communication and dissemination. So all the communication needs to go through your website. You are organizing an event of the project in Bari, registration, agenda, everything needs to start from your website and then to be disseminated by Twitter or wherever you want, a campaign, but atterraggio, no? Coming to your home. Your home is your project, not another website. No, this is not eligible. You have to take care of the house that the program will give you. You will have your section as it was in 1420, and you take care of it where you write the articles, where you announce your events, starting from which you develop your campaigns, etc., elsewhere, with a dedicated landing pages for the events, with ad hoc branding for colors and so on, and hashtags for some event, but everything needs to reconduct the users, your target group, to your website. Okay, I hope this is clear. A novelty in this period is that there is no dedicated work package for the management and for the communication, which was in the 1420, the work package 1 for the management and work package 2 for the communication. Now you need to communicate and explain, this is why I underlined it before, your communication in the thematic work package, like a cross-cutting activity. So you need to explain what are you going to do with a specific activity, how are you going to communicate it. inside the thematic work package, because it's a cross-cutting activity. So think about how to integrate it in the packages, and it can be even how can I say, more direct for you. There is also one subsection in application form, you will see it's 7.3. Communication project management, where you can provide the summary of your communication approach across the project, in particular how are you planning to transfer the project results. But what you do not need to do is that you write down additional communication activities, which are all in the thematic work packages. So this needs to be separated. If you want to point out in this section, it's also wise and welcome. Just a brief explanation, of course, on how your communication can support also management, internal management, and the communication flow among the partners, which are very important also for all the implementation of the activities. When you build the project communication activities, remember that one specific project objective may correspond to one or more communication objectives. So we just here gave a really simple example that you can find also in official documents that are also online on the program website. So these two examples of communication objectives require, as you might know, different communication activities that you need to write down and specify them in application form. So summarizing, you define one project-specific objective that will be achieved when all the activities in a certain work package are implemented and outputs delivered. Then you think about the communication objective that will contribute to the achievement of the specific objective, okay? Remember that you have to have at least one communication objective per project, but where to include and how it depends on what is relevant for you, for your project, and the applicant, so you can decide it. Don't forget to specify the target groups, because of course we will check it out that the target groups, that also the channels for communication correspond to the target groups that you have indicated. And remember that communication activities should be closely linked to the thematic activities. Here, this is the last presentation of mine, macro categories of communication that you can plan, that you should plan. These are online and offline events, promotional campaigns and media relations, and digital web-based activities. What we really would like from you is that you organize really good project events that are carefully planned, able to involve qualified speakers and audience, not self-referenced, so carefully planned, not the events that are speaking to themselves, to your project partnership, but able to embrace the other types of audience from all the program territory, or as large as possible. And also, if it's planned in your project and relevant, able also to involve actively the policy makers, if relevant, this for your project as a target group. So think about it. Think about that we will ask you the coactive participation into the program activities and with program events, as it was the case now during our final launching event, annual event of 4020, where we launch also the 21-27. We have planned the side event for the projects. So these kinds of events with the program will be foreseen. So think about them. And what is really important for your communication is that you produce a quality content, because the quality content will attract the attention. So this means elaborations, re-elaborations of the content, less Word, less Excel, but more data vids, infographics, moving objects, especially if you go on social media. So I don't know, there is nothing especially else to be added. This is quite a work to do. So take it seriously. We will help it. We will help each other because we cooperate. And this is all for my part. Infodays are going to be held in English for par condicio. Today's event is also recorded, so soon you will be able to see it again. We will upload it on our YouTube channel so that you can consult it even after this Info Day, actually. And somebody asked me about the presentations. Certainly the presentations will be consolidated on the landing page of these 4 Info Days. Basically, the landing page is the page where you have consulted the agenda and where you have then registered to the event. So we will put all the material at your disposal that can be useful for you. And now we will go all in detail in GEMS. GEMS is the new information system that we will use for the project applications and for the monitoring of the projects in a later stage, of course. And my colleague, Mr. Sorrentino Fatica, is going to explain you this application process, submission, and also to illustrate the supporting documents that are required to be filled in for the submission of your project. Sorrentino, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Thea, and good morning to everybody. Now, just a couple of slides before entering in the GEMS environment. As anticipated, the structure of the application form is taken by an HIT 2021-2027 template that has been joined by several ATC programmers. Why to use a common tool? In order to agree upon a structure and to avoid the request of information of different sections. And also, it's a choice made by the several ATC programmers in order to join their approach to this kind of projects. We could see in a few minutes the structure of the application form in GEMS. You have to know that we are talking about a document, an informatic document that is organized in parts and sections. At the beginning of this section, there is an explanation of the purpose of the section and so about its logic. You have to consider that only some questions of the initial template can be left out partially or totally. But as regards these kinds of limit, please read carefully the guide for applicants, because in the guide for applicants, all the information needed for the filling in of the application have been provided. Mandatory fields are indicated with an asterisk, and this is useful information for you, because you have to know that the fields indicated with the asterisk will be controlled through the GEMS functionality pre-submission checks. Some technical information. In order to enter in GEMS of the program, of our program, you have to register. And in the guide for applicants, specific instructions about how to register have been provided. Please remember that it's the basic rule to have in the domain the organization, and in the first part of your user ID, first name and last name. Once entered and registered in the GEMS of our program, you could see two calls, one for standard, the second one for a small-scale project. You have to choose one of these calls in order to create your own application. Consider that, as anticipated previously by my colleagues, in the application package there are also offline templates in order to help you and your project partners for the collection of information needed for the filling in of the online application form. You have also to consider that as regards the setting of GEMS, some fields could be customized considering the basic structure of the application form. Some other no, but the clear instructions have been provided in the guide for applicants. Now I close this presentation and I'm going directly to the GEMS. Okay. This is the homepage of our environment test of Veneto region. As you could see, you have first of all, to register. And now I enter with a password create for ourselves in order to test. Okay, so here there are many applications created, but you have to, first of all, watch. You will see two calls, small-scale call, standard call. In order to create your own application, you have to push on the button apply, and a page will appear here. There is a summary about the kind of projects, the priorities that will be matched by this call. We are talking here in such a case of small scale, so you could see priority, the axis 2, 4, and 5, and so the related specific objectives and the strategies. The ARDF found, the state aid schemes de minimis that are related to this kind of call, and so you have to bash on apply. But let's go into, okay. Me and my colleague Lovro Jurisic that will take care for this presentation during the Infodays in Croatia that will be held the next week, have filled in some demo of application form. We have not filled in every section. We have not written a project, but we have filled in some useful sections in order to join with you some useful information about key issues to be considered. First of all, you could see in the menu of the application form. As anticipated, we are talking about a document structured in parts and sections. So the parts are project identification, project partners, project description, project budget, project lump sums, and unit costs. The related sections are the ones that you could see in the menu of each section. So project identification, we are talking about the identity card of the project. Consider that the ID of the project will be automatically generated once created in the application form. And here appears the name of the lead partner, but consider that this data will be taken automatically by the section partners. So you have to consider that this kind of application form has internal rules and some links that request the filling in of data in sections that are in the list following the previous one. And I'm going to explain this thing. First of all, our suggestion is define the project partnership. So, because here you could see the overview, we have inserted in order to have a complete application form, 4 project partners, 2 Italian and 2 Croatian. But here you could see the button Add the new partner. As regards the standard, because we are seeing the demo application form of the standard, the number of partners is 3 to 8. And be careful in the construction of the partnership, because as anticipated, the James platform could not be customized at the moment for the checking of the number of partners that we are inserting. So please refer to the requirements of the call in order to comply with the number minimum and maximum of project partners. So for standard 3 to 8, small scale from 2 to 4. We have inserted 4 partners. When you create a project partner, you have to choose the role in the project. Because, for example, here it has been clicked on selected lead partner. Selecting this role and filling in this field, saving at the end, excuse me, okay. When you're filling in here at the bottom side, appear a command save or discard changes in order to in order to advise you about the possibility to confirm or not to confirm the data you have inserted. Once saved this profile as lead partner, the name of the lead partner will appear in the project identification fiche. Consider that as regards the Italian project partners, we are asking for the insertion in this field of the PAC address. And we are also asking for the insertion of the tax number. These are a couple of fields which label has been customized by the program in order to match our needs and in order to have useful information able to identify the organization, also for the extractions that we are going to make by the platform. And as anticipated, you have to filling in the project partner profile. But we have this menu that is in horizontal. And our suggestion is, please fill in, first of all, identity, address, contact, motivation. Because the following sections, budget, co-financing and state aid, request that you have filled in the work plan. Because some information that you have to insert or some references that you will find in the section budget, co-financing, state aid request a previous insertion of data in the work plan. For example, state aid, if by the self-assessment that you are conducting, comes out that the activity has state aid risk, you have to indicate the relevant activities. And so this requests that you have inserted the activity. Let's go. I have not the possibility to show you all the sections, but as anticipated, let's go through the important ones. And as regards the address, please remind that here there is a couple of information regarding the address. The address of the legal seat or operational seat of the organization, but remember that for standard you could apply per department. Pay attention, because if you fill in just a row of this section, the other ones will become compulsory to be filled in. And consider that this field is not to be considered as regards small-scale projects, only for standard. And the other sections, useful, important section, is contact, legal representative and contact person. Now we are asking you to be very careful in the insertion of the contact person, because it has to be a person that has a significant role in the project implementation, maybe the project manager. But this is not only the unique information. We ask you to insert a person that will be available for our contacts, not only during the project implementation, but also after its end, because, for example, in its experience, or our experience, at the end of the project, we have the closure procedures, and in many cases succeeded that there was an external project manager assigned to project activities, and when we have to ask for a clarification, improvement of a deliverable, and so on, we have as contact person someone that was administrative contact, doesn't know anything about the project, and so on. Please be careful. Legal representative, you could insert here also a person that has been delegated for the signing of the application form. Remember that in such a case, as compulsory annexes, you have to upload the delegation act. Motivation. This is a section very useful in order to collect information about why an organization takes part in the project. And it's very important also for the assessment, because as anticipated, we want to have a partnership that is well thought, structured, and is able to cooperate for the achievement of common goals. The organization has to have an experience profile. Consider that we are newcomers are also welcomed, but we have to consider that we are talking about experience, for example, the management of projects financed by public funds and so on, that are relevant for the issue that is covered by the project. Okay, this doesn't mean that the partner has to have a previous experience in Italy-Croatia project. And now I'm going directly to the work plan, section C. Project overall objective. You have to clearly communicate what is the objective of the project. Consider that, as anticipated, you will find here the purpose of this section and logic part that has to be ensured. In such a case, the project overall objective has to be realistic and achievable by the end of the project. You have to specify the project, the needs that the project are going to satisfy through its implementation. And first, and the last but not the least, we are talking about a measurable objective. Project relevance and the context. The project has to be taught and described in order to have a clear understanding of its contribution for the implementation of the program, for the achievement of program goals. And as anticipated by my previous colleague and also by Angelo Masson, we have to have a clear view about how this project is needed, why this project is needed for the overcoming of a situation that is limiting cross-border cooperation, or how this project could contribute to the improvement of cross-border cooperation. And who will benefit from the project outputs? We have to consider that the identification of the target group is very important for our projects. So please remind the logical framework that we have taught and we suggest you to implement through your projects. How the projects could contribute to wider strategies and policies. Here you could see per default 2 of these strategies, but you could add more than 2, up to 20 if I'm not wrong, clicking on this button. Here you see other. In the contribution field, you have to identify the name of the strategy. Could be also, for example, a regional operating program, for example, and you have to insert a text. And the last part, the synergies with the current EU and other projects, and how the project builds on available knowledge. Project partnership, now I'm talking to lead applicants. Please be careful, because in such a way, these sections could bring you to an overlapping of information with the section motivation, because also in section motivation, we are talking about description, a sort of self-assessment by project partner, made by the single partner. But here we have the point of view of the lead partner. So the lead partner has to clearly explain why this kind of partnership is the best one for the achievement of the project goals, and what is the contribution of each partner to the project. Work plan. Here we have inserted, me and my colleague, 3 work packages. You could add work packages, click on the button, add new work package. How it's structured? Now I have, for a mistake, added, but okay. Here you have to insert the name of the work package, the objectives. I remind you again, realistic, achievable, specific, measurable, okay? And consider that here you have also to define and to identify, if applicable, also communication objective. And for example, as anticipated in previous interventions, we remind you that compared to our previous experience, there was not the VP management and not the VP communication, so you have to consider these aspects as cross-border. But as you could see in section C.7, there is a lot of space to talk about project management. And once created the work package, here in the horizontal menu, you could see objectives, investments, activities, outputs. Investments only if applicable, because we have to consider, and a clear definition of what an investment is provided in the program implementation manual. And if it will be the case, you could insert an investment, clicking on Add Investment. For example, there was a partner for which there was this, excuse me, okay, we'll go, I don't remember here, for package G. Oh, okay, excuse me, but for work package 3, we inserted an investment. The number, it will be automatically given by the system. In such a case, you could see investment 3, because we are talking about work package 3, number 1. Let's clicking on it. As you could see here, there are specific information that we are asking. The name of the investment, when it will be realized, a justification for this investment, why it is needed, the description of the cross-border transnational relevance, who will benefit by this investment, a further explanation in case of pilot investment, where it is located, risk associated to the investment, investment documentation. Consider that, in particular for investment that request infrastructure and works, it's requested a building permits. So if this building permits is available at the time of the application, you have to upload it as a document, as annexes to the application in the sections that I'm going to show you in a few minutes. But if you don't have available it at the time of the application, we have to specify when you'll have it available, because we want to know that this investment could be realized in the time slot of the project. Okay? Another important thing, ownership. Who owns the site of the investment? Who will have the ownership? And an important thing, and we are talking about also the capacity of the project to go beyond its deadline, who will take care for its maintenance. Project results. Here, it's important that you have in mind the logical framework of the program, and you have to identify the results that are strictly linked to the project and strictly linked to the specific objective and so on. And also in such a case, we are asking about a quantitative value, the period of their achievement, and the description. Why we are talking about all these things? Consider that as regards the activities, the same thing, name of the activities, period of realization, description, partners involved. Here you could select all the parties that are interested in the activities. And here you have the field for the insertion of deliverables. As regards such issue, please pay attention to the insertion of deliverables, because according to our previous experience, we have seen, for example, scheme for the SWOT analysis, preliminary SWOT analysis, draft of the SWOT analysis, final version of the SWOT analysis. Try to be specific and not to list a very high number of deliverables, not waste time in drafting and not waste time in production of evidence of activities. And what I have talked about, insertion of activities, time plan of activities, insertion of results, time plan of results, and the same for deliverables. Why? Because there is this section that is automatically generated by the platform, and this is the project time plan. Okay? Project management. Here you have to describe how the project will be managed, what are the rules of the cooperation among project partners, if the managing structure that will be involved, the project management unit and so on. You have also to clearly describe the approach that you will use for the communication and for the financial management. Here are the cooperation criteria and the horizontal principles. Let's go now to the lump sum. As anticipated my colleague, the financial officer, Marco Popolizio, here we have the possibility to manage preparation and closure costs. We are talking about a standard project. As foreseen by the call, the preparation costs are 70,000 euro that could be split among project partners. The system will supply you with a gap functionality, is this one, yeah. And so you have to insert here the amount for the lead partner and in an horizontal way the amount foreseen for the other partners. As regards the closure costs, you have to add rows as project partners are. So these, for example, are the closure costs for the lead partner, this one for the PP2, for the PP3, and so on. So let's go now to the budget. Yes, I know. I know. It's quite difficult. It's quite difficult.
No.
Okay. This is the section budget. You have inserted all the informations. Now, partner budget options. You have to click on this one. In this demo, we have 4 partners with the different partner budget options. And I remind you that if you choose to insert staff costs on real costs, it doesn't mean that automatically, considering that office administration and travel costs are flat rate, the flat rate will be automatically calculated. You have to click and otherwise you don't see any amount in this section. Yeah, that was the example, okay? So let's go now to here. There are some tables automatically generated by the platform, overview per period. Be careful because you have to check continuously that your budget is enclosed in the range foreseen by the call. Let's go to pre-submission check. Okay. This is a function. We have filled in our application form. We have inserted all the information. Let's run the pre-submission check. Oh, there are a lot of things that request to be improved, but the system will help you because it clearly identifies the parts that in which information is missing, and you have this possibility to enlarge this menu in order to identify the missing information. So I suggest you to exploit this part to print, to save, and so on, in order to have a guide for return on the application and to fill in the missing information. Once made that, let's suppose that all the pre-submission checks are valid, okay? And I come back to the presentation. All the pre-submission checks are valid. You have to download the. Oh, excuse me. Yeah. You have to download the application form. You have to resist to the temptation to click on submit. You have not to submit the application. No? You have be careful. I know that maybe you will be happy because the pre-submission check a lot of times will be not effective, because when the pre-submission check has a positive outcome, it becomes animated, the button that allow you to submit the application. Now, wait. You have to download the application form and you have to sign the application form. We know that there are users with a digital signature, users without digital signature. As regards users with digital signature, consider that James at the moment recognizes only the PDF PADES format. In the future, the P7M CADES will be available. We have an open ticket with Interact. Users without digital signature, you have to print, sign, and upload the relevant document. And consider that in such a case, you have to add another document that is the identity document of the signatory. Where to upload the file? There are several sections in the application form, annexes section, and the application form signed has to be uploaded under the application attachments. You have to click on application attachment, that is the first item in this list on the right, and then you have to upload the signed application form. To upload the documents related to a specific project partner, you have to choose the relevant project partners the document refers to. And as regards investments, there is another section for the uploading, and you have to choose this section to upload the document. But we are talking about a document. This is just a table that we have provided you through the guide for applicants. In this, you could see all the documents that are compulsory. In any case, signed application form, lead partner declaration, project partner declaration, and other documents that are applicable and so have to be compulsory uploaded if the case recurs. After that, positive running of pre-submission checks, uploading of the signed application form, uploading all the documents, you could submit your project application. And good luck. It's all from my side.
Easy as that. Well done, Sorrentino. Super clear, I hope. Okay, also this part can be checked with you in the questions and answer. Is that, okay. Do we want to? Yes, we can open. Do we want to mention the documents? That the documents for the submission are already being uploaded on the website of the program, right? Annexes. No? Everything is uploaded. Yeah. Also with the documents and stuff. So on the 21, 27, you'll find everything, you download everything, and then we open the space for your questions now. Please. I have to take, sorry, I have to take the microphone. Yeah, thank you. Okay. I have to give you the microphone, so because we are recording, so that the other persons can hear you. Is there anybody who wants to intervene? Okay, I will go over there. Is there anybody who can help me? Can you help me, Marco? Okay, I have the first question. Yes, we'll be right back to you. Please.
Thank you. Thank you also for today's very nice and clear presentation. Actually, it's a question for you, since you're here. It's about how to include communication activities in the work plan. So I went through the document, the PIM, and the guidelines for applicants. It's not clear to me two things. First, if communication activities need to be separate activities within work packages, and also about the number of activities and deliverables, because reading all the this program implementation manual and also the others that whose calls were already launched, it's very clear to focus on few deliverables, few activities, and not too many like it was in the past, like Sorrentino also said a few minutes before. But going to communication, there are certainly many activities that we do during the whole project duration. I don't know, newsletters, for instance, just an example, or updating the project website or social media. So how can we, shall we mention them as all of them as deliverables or not? Thank you.
Thank you. So for the practical filling out of the application form, perhaps my colleague Sorrentino can give some further hints if this is possible. But for the communication, I mean, you won't, in the application form, you won't have the separate work package work package 2 that we had in the 1420. But you will use the space within the thematic work packages to think about your communication. So your communication must closely accompany your thematical activities. So, for example, what comes to my mind is that if you are working to, I don't know, for example, as I said before, for example, you're working to deliver some scientific content, okay, but you want also to bring closer this activity to general public. Of course, publishing only this document won't be enough to reach a target audience. So probably you will need to plan how to translate this technical scientific content into the more communicative content for your target audience in order to make it understandable for all, not just for the scientific community, if there is some other target group planned by your project inside. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry, because otherwise people... so for instance, I imagine, I don't know, work package, pilot actions, okay? I imagine that most of us will have pilot actions. So maybe you have pilot action joint preparation and implementation. And maybe, this is what I usually do, at the end of the pilot action, we have local targeted events to illustrate. So I would imagine one activity for joint preparation, one activity for joint implementation. Should we foresee a third activity for, I don't know, pilot action events? Or should these events be included in the first or in the second activity? So should we have separate activities per work package on communication?
Well, this depends on you. What we would like you to deliver is to show these pilot actions. For example, in this programming period of 1420, we have had lots of examples of interesting pilot actions that have not been enough accompanied by the communication actions. So people haven't seen them. For example, if you're organizing a pilot, it would be nice maybe to organize a small campaign to disseminate it, to bring, for example, the audience. Which kind of audience? Maybe the media representatives, to show them what is going on the territories, you know, or to build up a community. For this, you will need another communication approach. It depends on what are you going to do. It's important that you show them, so that you properly involve your target groups, that you show it enough, starting from the beginning, as I said during my presentation, because frequently these pilot actions have not been accompanied well by the means of communication, so nobody saw them. So if you have some underwater, for example, underwater exploring exploitation, could be nice. This is just as an example, to think about an underwater campaign for maybe, for example, with some visors, with some things like that are able to show to the people that cannot go under the water what is going on, what are you doing. And then this content, when you have this content, then you can easily prepare it to communicate it in different channels. A separated activity or included in the technical ones?
It depends on you, really, because it could be a separated activity that you dedicate to communication, or it can be just deliverables within other activities. So it's really up to you. The important thing is that there is a presence of these activities, and as said, that it is embedded with the thematics, and it helps delivers the results.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think we have the second one.
Well, thank you. I have just two questions. The first one is a little bit practical, and it concerns an eligibility question regarding the possibility for a small municipality, I mean less than 50,000 inhabitants, to be candidated and eligible within the standard projects. Is this possible or not? And the second question is, this is a little bit tricky, what about energy management projects? Because, I mean, I was checking the priority number 2, the priority dedicated to green, resilient shared environment, and of course the specific objective 2.2, when you are talking about green infrastructure. And the question is, are projects related to the management or development or infrastructure concerning energy management eligible within this priority and specific objective or not? And that's it from my side.
Okay, regarding the first question, yes, of course, the limitation is only for a small scale, whereas for standard, it's very broad, as you have seen. The categories are very large, and definitely small municipalities are eligible. Regarding the second question, we don't have a specific objective dedicated to energy. There are other specific objectives within the policy objective of the EU, which are dedicated, but this was not chosen by our program, so it's not something that we tackle directly. This doesn't mean that energy efficiency or energy plan cannot be funded by our program, meaning that as long as they pursue the objectives of the Green Deal and they are in line with the specific objective general results, they can be integrated, but they must not be the focus and the main final result of the actions. Something to add, Angelo? No. Okay.
Is it on? Okay, thank you. I will go back to communication issue. Do you still expect to have project social media accounts? If you don't have communication and you don't have designated person who is doing communication for the whole project, it's a bit hard to actually have social media account and person who is doing the website. It's something that takes time and the energy from someone. And it's hard to make all the partners do the same thing. You need to have one person who is coordinating it. Of course, each partner should do their own communication, as you pointed out, on their own social media accounts and websites. But what about the overall project website and social media accounts? Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know. Maybe it's good that you present yourself, your name and the organization you're coming from, okay? Maybe we met before, so I don't remember. Martin? Okay. So we said before that communication manager is actually mandatory member of the project management unit, which is composed by the project manager, the financial manager, and the communication manager that will act as a person who coordinates the overall communication of the project among all the partners, and acts actually as a community manager and as a person who is skilled to act, to write on web, and to, of course, to prepare the articles, to use the CMS system. And so it's mandatory. We are asking this from all the projects to appoint it because of this importance to have a skilled person who is able to act among all the partnership in order to not to forget something. Because frequently I've seen this in 1420, there were partners who don't know what is going on with the other partners on the other territories. I mean, we are doing a cooperation, and this is why it's even more important that we have a glue, a person who can act as aggregator of information, and who is able also to understand the project content and to translate it. I mean, maybe not everything, but to the certain point needs to be able to act as a content editor, of course. So to have this kind of skills, it's really important for the proper communication. For the social media, of course, it's not. This is not mandatory. Rather, I would say that would be important to concentrate on the good content production. Less is more, but also in terms of opening the channels. So think about the channels that you want to open on basis of your target. Because of course, if you want to target so much on the project youth, I don't know how can you reach this youth on Twitter, for example. But of course, if you choose TikTok, this means that you will have to work a lot to have a constant work of somebody, of some skilled person who is able to produce little videos that can interest this kind of target group, this youth. So this is it. So think about your target group, how and which channels can be suitable to reach them. And then, of course, messages and the content that is behind, because it's easy to open the channel and then to have 15 followers, it's useless. Rather one, but constant work on the content that is able to attract the most important target group of a project. However, this is not mandatory. What is mandatory is communication, starting from your website, then developing campaigns would be nice, but always starting from the communication on the website. If the social medias are open, then should be constant work on the content, for the quality content, because we all know that there is such a huge amount of things around. It's so noisy on web, on social, so we also pay attention to something that is really or appealing or interesting or from which we can benefit. Myself, I have to take something to learn something, or something that is funny or that will attract for the moment my attention. So I hope that I have replied to your question. If not,
just thinking from a point of lead partner, you need to have someone who will do this. One partner who will be this person who will do everything. How do you award him more budget for this, let's say, because no one will take this amount of the job to do and not have additional budget, at least in the staff. Let's say we are talking about the staff budget, not external, not anything, but something that can be done internally. If he is doing all the technical job and work that other partners are doing, but is also doing this as additionally, because it is additional work. We all know that it takes time. We need to be able to somehow award it as a more staff budget. Can we do it in technical work packages as such? Just give one person more budget, because you need to have one person motivated to do this.
Communication is compulsory, and the budget is accompanying, is something that supports the communication of the project. So it's compulsory, but you have you can allocate the budget for doing this activity. It's communication activity, and the communication manager activity is an activity like as any other. It's nothing more or less than producing also the technical content. It's about It's all about your project, how to get along and establishing your relations and setting up the project management unit that will be able to implement properly the project.
Just to add, well, I know that there are a lot of documents in the application package and useful documents, but I invite you to look and to see and to check the program implementation manual. Program implementation manual that you find in our website on page 56. Describing the organization of project management, provide that the project need to set up a project management unit, and inside the project management unit, together with project manager and financial manager, there is the communication manager. Should be able to coordinate the communication flow and communication content product from all partners and blah, blah, blah. So it is on page 57 of the program implementation manual. Thank you.
Just an interest and fast question from Puglia region about an issue you mentioned at the beginning. You said that you are developing a software package to allow GEMS to communicate with your legacy systems and so on. I imagine this package is transparent for beneficiaries, applicants, so they do not have to use this package, I think. And the second question, you developed it independently, or you had to ask permission or anything similar to interact, or?
No, we are working with our IT and an external expert in order to make this application. And beneficiaries are not involved, obviously, and so they have they only see and work in GEMS. They don't know anything about the back. So is we don't need beneficiaries on the application, but we need the application in order to communicate data and link to other with other local system like protocol. For example, just now we are going to collect and we have to register in our protocol system the application, and so we need to make a link between GEMS and the local system. Okay.
Giovanni Antelmi, Orange Public Management. I have several questions, too much, 4. Okay, no communication. I don't have communication. First one, eligibility rules, small projects. We have several management bodies of a protected area that are consortium of municipalities, okay? And okay, the population of this consortium is more than 50,000. Normally, these are small public body, no more than 3-4 employees. So they are according to the philosophy of your small coal project. So the question is, are they eligible or not for small scale projects? Second question is about state aid, the part related to the indirect state aid, Article 20A. It's not so clear because in the previous programming period we have an experience regarding sub-grantees with any program. I don't know if someone worked on this program, but we work in several projects where we have sub-grantees. So we cover expensive of size medium enterprises for equipment or for services and so on, okay? So Can we do the same with this Italy-Croatia, always after a public selection? Because I don't understand voucher, training. Can they buy equipment, for example? Can they buy services? Because it will be very, very important in some kind of projects to have this solution available. I go back, and there's a question about energy. It's not so clear, because you told before that 2.1 of this program is more or less the same of the previous one. If I remember well, you told this, no? And if I remember well, we have several projects under 2.1 about energy approved in the Italy-Croatia program, no? Cost energy, or I don't know, maybe. So in any case, your suggestion is, okay, you can have a project with energy topic, but not with the main topic as energy. This is the suggestion, okay? And last question is GEMS platform already working? Because we had some trouble to try to, that's all.
Okay, I will start with the first one and then my colleagues will complement. Okay, for the small-scale projects, 50,000 inhabitants is the limit. So even if it's an association, it's written in the call, Association of Local Authorities, like a consortium, still the limit has to be met. So yeah, it is a choice to really make space for small organizations in this call, because yeah, but they can participate individually. They cannot participate as a consortium, meaning that if you have a...
Because normally they are, yes, as municipality, so...
Yeah.
Okay,
as a single municipality, this is possible. As a consortium, summing up more than 50,000 inhabitants, that's not possible. We will check that. So.
Okay.
Regarding energy, I think it's clear what we said. I confirm the interpretation you had. It's not that energy is something that we don't want to in our projects, but it's not, it doesn't have to be the main topics, meaning that it doesn't contribute to the expected results of our specific objectives. Of course, it can be integrated. If you're working on climate change, if you're working on biodiversity or fight against pollution, this can be integrated for priority 2, but also in other innovation, definitely energy can be integrated into innovation. Transport, we have a lot of projects in the 1420 on transport, maritime transport, that also integrate energy efficiency, integrate this kind of activities that are very important to us, but they are not the main focus. They are maybe a means to reach the objective of the program. State aid.
Try to answer. Yes. If the final beneficiary is someone outside the partnership, for sure we have an indirect aid, and we be treated with the Article 20A. So if the amount of aid is up to 20,000 euro, we can grant with Article 20A. About the activity, specific activity you plan to do, but the activity will be assessed by the program manager if it is considered online or not, with the call and with the project you submit. So is another question if equipment are eligible or not. Normally equipment are for partners, and outside the benefit is for consultancy services or for training. They attend training which have a real value on the market. So what is important, and I try to highlight in my presentation, is that when you submit your application, we don't have at all a clear idea of the amount of the benefit of the grant of the aid. So it is something that we postponed during the implementation. So during the implementation, partner project must be in contact with MA and with JS. We submit a real picture of the activity you want to implement. This activity will be approved, and only after the approval of the MA and JS, the partner could be implemented. Also because we have to comply with constraints related to the National Register of State Aid. So before starting with the activity, we have to register the aid. So that's why the activity should be approved by MA and JS. This is my answer. I don't know if you want to add.
Okay, as regards the last questions, we had at the beginning some problems as regards the accreditation systems. So once a person asked to register, he didn't receive the confirmation message, but that problem has been fixed. I don't know the kind of problems that you have encountered, but if you had problems, please feel free to write and to communicate as the technical programs, because we are a technical team available to solve it as soon as possible.
Yes, Domenico Zonno, Puglia Region, Department of Mobility. Is there a section in the website of program where you can find a partner for project? Thank you.
Yes, we have made available a new partner search tool since yesterday. So you will find it on the website. You can include either yourself, your organization as a potential partner, and you can also find project proposals, project ideas from other partners. So it's we will send also a communication to all the potential applicants. They can use it. So we expect in the coming days to be fully operational and used by the partners.
Hello, this is Andrea Santoro from Orange Public Management. Just one question. Is it the peak number mandatory for beneficiaries in order to be part of a project proposal or not?
No, it's not compulsory.
Well, sorry, I forgot to present myself. Marco Del Russo next. And this is just a last question for James. It is possible to delete if myself, per error, insert an investment under the activities? Because, for example, in other GEMS platforms, there was this bug where if I incorrectly put the investment, you know, the space dedicated to the investment under the activities, I cannot be able to turn back and to delete that part dedicated to the investor, to the description of our investment. It could be a very simple things, but for example, for other programs, once you, per error, insert the investment under the activities and you wanted to delete only the investment, you were obliged to delete the entire activity. So the question is it possible to delete just the investment from the description of the activity or not? Thank you very much.
We have to test. Yes, because we have tried to write an example of application form, but we have to test this thing.
Okay, thank you very much.
Maybe using this unique tool, it will be also easier that all the programs act towards, no, for these bugs. Yeah. No, I understand.
The investment part. Now I had the investment under the activities, and you realize at the end of the activity that you are not able to delete only the investment.
Yes.
Deleting the entire activity.
And it's a little bit tricky. And, yeah. We are aware of that. For I think everybody who ever wrote a project in the application form, yes. But as I said, using several Interreg programs, the GEMS, probably it will be also easier for us to adjust these bugs because it will be the same for everybody. So, however, we will come back on this. No more questions? Niente domande? Anche una? Okay, if so, we can close today's Info Day, and we hope that it was useful for all of you who've been today with us for the presentation of your project application. And we hope that we have managed to clarify any doubts of yours. Of course, we are not disappearing from now till the end of ambition. Yes, repeat, as my coordinator said, that PowerPoint presentations will be online for you to download them. And the video of today's session will be also online, so you can watch it again. And we are in our offices or online for your support. And what else to add? In bocca al lupo. And we hope that you will have lots of creative, innovative ideas that are in line with the program expectations. For the development of the joint projects in a good spirit of cooperation that your actions can add value to this area that we have together. And don't take communication as a as a hassle, as something that is annoying. Have fun, and that's all. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.